What's up, people? It's your girl Adeola. It's now more than a month since more than 200 girls were kidnapped by Boko Haram in Nigeria. Now, if you ask me, 1 month is way too long. Too long a time to cause some permanent damage that can traumatize someone for the rest of her life. And it pains me to say that the attitude of the Nigerian officials is still very, very disturbing. Imagine how I felt when I saw this video.
Minister, ABC News America, can we just ask you a few questions?
Sorry?
ABC News America, can I ask you a few questions?
I'm tired of the same story.
I'm sure you are, but
maybe
it's an important story.
I'm not a government spokesperson.
Wait, did she say that she's tired of the same story? Well, madam, no, seriously. So long as the girls are out there, we have to keep talking about it.
Amnesty, though, says that the security forces knew about this beforehand.
I cannot answer those questions. I'm Minister of Finance. I can only tell you the full commitment of this government to fight. The government is doing everything. The government has sent additional troops. The government is doing aerial surveillance. The government is working with companies that have satellite. The government is working with the US, is waiting for the promised help from all the sources that are pledged. What they want is they wanted to stop the world community from coming here. That's why they did that.
Wow. Too many things bother me in her statement. While I appreciate her listing what the government is doing, because quite frankly, we really don't know what our government is doing about this issue. However, I can't believe that Madam Ngozi actually believes that these girls were kidnapped in order to stop her party of the year. You know, the World Economic Forum. That is all she cares about.
This is the second largest ever World Economic Forum conference. So terror has lost.
Yeah, terror has lost. Yeah, because you had the World Economic Forum in Nigeria. Hey, yeah.
This is the second largest ever. And
so what, madam? The second largest whatever. What exactly does that even mean to the people of Nigeria? Our children are being kidnapped for wanting to be educated. And there is no security. Now, second largest economic forum we go chop. Eh? Does this woman listen to herself at all?
The world should support Nigerians to stand together and support also our military who are putting their lives on the line.
You know, I'm not undermining the efforts of the Nigerian military, but since these girls were kidnapped, I haven't heard of the military embarking on a rescue mission. You get what I'm saying? I mean, what I've heard was that civilian JTF, you know, vigilantes in Calabar, that is a local government in northeast of Borno, that these people fought back when Boko Haram came to attack them. They killed more than 200 Boko Haram members. These were civilians. They didn't have sophisticated weapons like the army. And not only that, in Adamawa, civilians also killed Boko Haram. I'm not saying that the Nigerian military has not tried, but I wouldn't exactly say that they are putting their lives online for these girls. I'm sure that if that BBC guy were to be a Nigerian journalist, that interview might have ended differently.
I'm just wondering why we borrowed money from China since you paid off some
Where
debt
are you
not
from?
long ago. I'm a journalist with The Nation.
The Nation?
Yes.
The Nation?
Yes.
So that you can go and nation me tomorrow.
Okay,
thank you. Or misquote me.
No,
it's on camera doesn't mean anything. Nation misquotes, turns the story around. You know, there are so many witnesses here.
Wait, I didn't ask you to play that. Did I ask you to play that video? Eh? But that was Madam lecturing a journalist of The Nation newspaper instead of her answering the question. A simple question. I am, however, very sure that Madam Ngozi's answer would have been different, you know, if one of those girls kidnapped were to be her daughter. I'm sure that the headlines for the past 1 month would have been Ngozi's daughter and others kidnapped. You get what I'm saying? And if nothing has been done by now, some officers in Nigeria would have been fired. And of course, she would not put the economic forum ahead of her daughter's safety. And forget about Madam Ngozi. What about Mr. President? I think it is very, very shocking that the Nigerian president has refused to visit the town where these girls were kidnapped or even send any delegates to console the parents. I mean, I saw in the papers that he was going to visit them. That was 31 days after the girls were kidnapped. And everybody was like, oh, finally, after a month, Mr. President is going to visit. And the next thing I heard was that, oh, he cancelled. He can no longer go. Now he's going to Paris. And of course, he's going to Paris to seek more help for the girls. I said, does that make any sense? And you are telling me that you're going abroad to get help for people that you cannot even visit to see how they are doing. Where is that done? They said that he never planned to go in the first place. That it's just the media that have been shouting. I said, oh, even if you didn't plan to go, that was an opportunity for you to do something noble. That was an opportunity for you to go and visit this parent. You know, all these parents want right now in Chibok is just to know that somebody in the Nigerian government cares about them, because right now they feel like they have been forgotten. A whole month has passed. If any parent would have heart attack by now, don't you think that a month is more than enough? I mean, even hypertension from constantly thinking about your daughter and wondering where she is, what is being done to her, you know. I mean, I've read of many of these parents who have fallen sick in Chibok. I know that most of them have not been eating as they should, and they probably stay up every night praying, crying, and worrying about what could be happening to their daughters. If you are a parent, I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about. If your girl is out there for more than a month, I can imagine you sleeping at night. And to be honest, this government is making it really, really hard for us to believe that they truly care, even after other countries have sent help. Or how do you explain policemen disrupting the Bring Back Our Girls protest in Nigeria? I mean, someone must have sent them. I don't think policemen would just come on their own. More than 50 policemen tried to stop this protest in Abuja of all places, dragging protesters, pulling them. Here is Dr. Obi Ezekwesili refusing to leave the protest ground. I really, really appreciate her courage, by the way. And they also tried to stop other people from joining.
I just parked my car over there and I was trying to cross the road, and the policemen are telling me that they have been instructed not to allow more people to come and join this. Okay, I'm a mother, and I cannot imagine 2 hours. 2 hours. I will not survive 2 hours of not seeing my child.
Did you guys notice in that video that humongous armor tanker that the police brought to stop the protesters? Or maybe I'm not saying correctly. It looks like armor tanker to me. Why can't we send this thing after Boko Haram to rescue the girls? Instead, we're sending it after protesters. Does that make sense? And just on the side, you know, I keep wondering how these policemen do things like this when they also have children at home. I mean, but you know, that is a discussion for another day. They also stopped another protest in Kaduna organized by Dr. Joe Odumakin. Now, the only protest that they have no problem with in Nigeria was the one organized by Asari Dokubo, you know, the leader of the Niger Delta People's Volunteer Force. Yes, so him and some not so smart people staged an anti-Bring Back Our Girls protest. That is a protest against protesters. They said that the whole thing is a scam. Nobody was kidnapped, and sure enough, none of them was arrested. Yes, none of them was arrested now. For those of you who may not know Asari Dokubo, this is him in action.
If, for example, President Jonathan says, I will not contest for a second term in office,
he no fit.
Would you force him to?
He no fit. There's a mandatory 8 years, mandatory 2 tenures in the Constitution. Now you go. When you go to the I say, no only one thing. You don't go come home now.
Meanwhile, I'm glad that his group would no longer be protesting since the video of the girls surfaced. I'm glad that now everybody cares about these girls since we've seen the faces of some of them. I'm glad to know that they are alive, but it's very sad to see that they are being forced to recite the Quran. And I'm sure that they're also being brainwashed to think that education is not a good thing. And trust me, a month is more than enough to mess up somebody. But somehow though, I strongly believe that these girls would come out strong despite this traumatic experience. And yes, it would not be easy, but their story cannot end like this. It mustn't end like this. I don't know why, but I've always believed that great adversaries come your way because you're meant to be great. And you know, your time of despair can eventually become an inspirational story for somebody someday if you just, you know, keep believing. Now, when these girls are finally rescued, and I'm praying that they get rescued, I hope that the Nigerian government would get them out of that place, out of that environment. If possible, give all of them scholarships to study abroad. Yeah, I mean, that is not too expensive for the country that has the largest economy in Africa. I mean, these girls have paid too much a price for wanting to be educated. But you guys know that I don't know much, and guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Now, still on politics, South Africans just concluded their presidential election, and my man, Jacob Zuma, has been re-elected as the president for the next 5 years. Now, a lot of people reported that the election was well conducted, and of course, you guys know that I don't like to gossip. I beg, let him be my own. But I've been hearing a lot of rigging reports. Yeah, I've been hearing that election was rigged. I was so disappointed though, because the ANC started well, fighting for freedom during apartheid, and in fact, that was was Mandela's party, but now they have become like the PDP of Nigeria. I heard that ballot papers disappeared at some polling stations. Hey, and it was not the witches and wizards that stole them. I'm telling you, they just disappeared. In fact, in some places, I heard that several ballots were found in trash cans. Election rigging, even in South Africa. In fact, 3 voting tents were set on fire during the overnight protest in Barkersdale. Again, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce these names correctly, but not only that, I saw a video that really disturbed me. It's a video of the ANC supporters beating up a woman. They beat her to death because she did not support ANC. I must warn you, this video is graphic, but we need to take a look at what happened in South Africa. Can you imagine? And people were standing by. Haba, South Africa. What is this? How do you explain this? If you have to do this just to make sure that your man wins, oh my God. There is no way I would believe that after winning this election, you will put the interest of the common people ahead of anything else. The tenor that will be over someday, is it worth it to have blood of innocent people on your hands because you just want somebody to win by fire by force? I keep asking, how do these men sleep at night after clubbing down a woman? And it's a shame because a lot of people actually look up to South Africa. But you know, I won't stop talking about issues like this until we have a change. And guess what? I'm just keeping it real. So I don't want to leave you guys depressed, so let's talk about something inspirational. I like to share a story that has really inspired me, and I'm hoping it will inspire you as well. You guys know that I love inspirational stories. It helps me to keep going with what I'm doing. Now, this person is not African, but Africans are already benefiting from what he's doing. So I thought, hey, why not? Why not share his story? So Braun was still a student when he visited India on a trip. Now, while he was in India, a little boy was begging for money, and Adam asked the boy, what would you like if you could get anything in the whole world? What would you like? And the boy was like, well, I would really love a pencil. So Adam was really surprised, but what, a pencil? But you know, he had a pencil with him, so he gave the little guy a pencil. And his face lit up. He couldn't believe that he was getting a pencil. Now, upon further inquiry, he realized that, wait a minute, this boy has never been to school. So he decided this is not right, that everybody should be able to go to school. Everybody, no matter what family they are from, no matter if they are rich or poor, everybody should have an opportunity to go to school. So the more he thought about it, even after he came back from his trip, the more he felt like doing something. So he came up with an idea to build a school in a poor community. So he graduated from college and he worked on Wall Street for a couple of years, I think about 2 or 3 years. Right after that, he quit his job to go after his dream of building a school, and everybody thought he was crazy. He started a foundation called Pencils of Promise with the sole aim of building a school. Now, that was about 5 years ago on his 25th birthday. That was the day that he opened an account for this foundation with $25, just $25. Then he organized a party and invited all his friends over to donate $25 each, and the money was still not enough. A lot of people told him, this is not possible. You may as well go back and get your job on Wall Street. But you know, instead of being discouraged, he opened a Facebook page to raise more money, and he built a website where every donation was made transparent, so more people were motivated to donate. And at the end of the day, he didn't build one school. I'm telling you, the guy did not build one school. Instead, he has built more than 200 schools, more than 200 in 4 countries. He's built schools in Laos, in Nicaragua, and in Guatemala, and of course Ghana. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, that's an African country, which is why I need to talk about this. So his foundation not only builds schools, but they train teachers, they fund scholarships for students to further their education to the best secondary schools in town. And by the way, all the children in his school are performing twice as better at other schools. So far, more than 22,000 students have benefited from this program. More than 22,000 young people. Do you know what any of them could become in life? And you know, it's all because Adam decided to make a difference. Today, his company has become more successful than he ever thought would be possible, and they continue to build more schools even as we speak. He was on Forbes 30 under 30 list, as well as Wired Magazine's 50 people who are changing the world list. And he was also selected as one of the world's World Economic Forum's first 10 global shapers. And not only that, he has also been a featured speaker at the White House, the United Nations, and the Clinton Global Initiative. And he just became the author of a New York Times bestseller. I'm talking about the book titled Promise of a Pencil, How an Ordinary Person Can Create Extraordinary Change. So I shared his story with you today to hopefully inspire somebody, especially if you're hoping to make a difference and if you're trying to go after your dreams and it looks like you have too many obstacles on your way. Just so you know, after conceiving the idea, it took Adam about 4 years to actually take the first step of opening an account with $25 for this project. So it did not take off right away. In fact, after that, it took months and even years of diligent planning and hard work. In fact, he talked about staying up at night, working diligently every night before something tangible happened. So don't be discouraged wherever you are today. If you've tried and it looks like nothing is working out, please keep trying, keep trying. You never know, you may just be right there. Maybe you're about to get your breakthrough, you know, you may just be right there. And if you're already doing something and you like for me to talk about it, please feel free, you know, to send me details. I've talked about a Nigerian couple in Texas that build libraries in rural villages in different African countries. I've talked about a Cameroonian doctor that performs free surgeries for the less privileged every weekend in Cameroon. He has been able to help more than 32,000 people since 2008, and he made it to be a CNN hero. I've also talked about a Nigerian lady who founded the first air ambulance service in Nigeria after losing her little sister to sickle cell anemia. And I've featured the legally blind Nigerian guy in Texas who raises funds to provide scholarship and white cane for the blind in Nigeria. So, I mean, what are you passionate about? Whatever it is, don't ever give up. And if you know somebody that I should tell their story, hook me up, let me know. And guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Now, speaking of people inspiring others, I'd like to introduce you to a Nigerian lady who has inspired me and many others as well. Meet the beautiful Miss Ebele Mogo. Ebele started university at the age of 14. Yes, you heard me right. At the age of 14, and she graduated with honors at the age of 18 from the University of Waterloo in Canada. I mean, the age of 18, that's when most people are just starting college. She was done by then. And then she got her master's at the age of 19. I know. Right now she's doing her PhD in public health in Colorado and she's only 23. Now I know that a lot of parents that are watching me right now will be calling all their children now. Chinedu, come and listen to this story. Some of you are calling your boss. Boss, are you listening to what Adeola is saying? I've been telling you to study hard. You see what she's saying? Hey, one girl like this, she finished university at the age of 18. And take it easy. No, I know you should encourage them and you should challenge them to do well, but don't be too hard on them. Don't be too hard on them, and please make sure that you let them pursue their own dreams. You get what I'm saying? I mean, you can guide them in pursuing their dreams, but let it be their dream that they're pursuing, not yours. You get what I'm saying? Because oh my god, too many Nigerian parents today, they all want their children to be doctors. Too many. Lord have mercy. You get what I'm saying? It's like you want your child to be what you wish you could be when you were younger and it never happened. You get what anyway, that is a discussion for another day. Just imagine me being a medical doctor. I'll probably be miserable if I'm in the hospital the whole day. I mean, just imagine. Well, I know that I'll make my patients laugh, you know, but you guys won't get to see this program. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, back to Miss Ebele. She went into science because she has always been passionate about health. Now, this lady already has her own foundation, Engage Africa Foundation. This organization is addressing the rising trend of non-communicable diseases. Her passion is to see an end to non-communicable diseases in sub-Saharan Africa. And she's doing it through policy advocacy, through research and health promotion. She has also pioneered various community-focused health promotion campaigns in several rural and urban communities around Africa. And she has worked with the governor of Lagos State in Nigeria on improving urban health equity in the Lagos metropolis. And Ebele has also worked at the World Health Organization Center for Health Development in Japan. I'm like, what? he already achieved so much. You get what I'm saying? It's like, what am I doing with my life? Yeah. No, but really, all I'm saying is, if you're determined to make a difference, if you're focused on achieving something, anything is possible in this life. Anything is possible. This is her talking about what motivates her, what keeps her going. Let's take a look.
I started secondary school really young. I think I was like 8 years old, which is like grade 7. So I was 8 years old in grade 7. I did my first year of secondary school in a boarding school. And hey, boarding schools in Nigeria are a serious business. What helped me to make it? What helped me to graduate at 18? First of all, not giving up. Just believe that you have it in yourself to make it. That's what I believe. I believe that if I give my best, I can be anything. If I want something and I give my best, I have a right to get the best when I give my best.
I mean, isn't that inspiring? Now, in light of these two stories, her story and Adam's story, have compiled a list of some organizations that fund ideas and give grants, scholarships and so on. Try your luck. You just never know. Even if you live in Africa, that's not an excuse. There are some grants that will support your vision if well packaged. You know, there are some grants that are targeting projects in Africa. You know, I do well, my sister, and kudos to you. Feel free to contact her on her Twitter page, her Facebook page, and her website. And guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Moving on to Cameroon. Now, this is a bittersweet story, and it shows what happens when African leaders, African governments don't care about their citizens abroad. Now, I'm talking about the story of Tonan Emmanuel Njong. I'm sorry if I didn't say his name correctly. This man was teaching English in China. He was an English teacher until one day the Chinese police arrested him for fraud, a crime that he said he never committed. There was never an evidence that he actually committed fraud, but he was held in a detention center for 10 months while he was waiting for a government-sponsored lawyer. First of all, you know that detention centers are not fun at all. It's like one of the worst places you can put an immigrant. So in that 10 months, he was not allowed to contact any friend or family. So everybody just believed that he disappeared. They actually thought that he died because he couldn't communicate with anybody, not any friend, not any family member. Now, if the government has a case against you, I don't think that a government-sponsored lawyer can help you. Do you think so? So in the end, they sentenced him to prison where he was working from 6 in the morning every morning, either weekend or weekdays, every morning, 6 in the morning till 10 p.m. Sometimes making paper shopping bags. I'm talking about paper bags that you will see in so many stores here in New York, across the US, you know, so many stores that are using these paper bags, or assembling electronics, or even sewing garments. These were the things that he was doing. And because they were being monitored 24 hours a day, he couldn't try to escape. However, they had a paper and pen to record their quota every day. So he stole the paper and pen to write a secret letter under his blanket at night. Pretending to be sleeping, he wrote a help letter describing where he was kept and what was going on, and he was able to write 5 copies of this help letter, and he snuck each one of them inside the paper bags that he was making, hoping that someday somebody would see it and that he would be rescued. And he made sure that he added his picture. Fortunately for him, one woman in New York got one of the 5 paper bags when she went shopping at Saks. I mean, that's a designer shop on 5th Avenue right here. It's like, I can't even believe that something like that could happen. When she was unpacking her shoes, it was like something fell on the floor. So when she picked it up and saw the letter, she sent the letter to a Washington-based advocacy group that was founded to fight human rights abuse in Chinese prison. So they started investigating, you know, trying to see how they can save this guy. But unfortunately, they got stuck. They couldn't find the guy. Now, the Homeland Security also got involved when they couldn't find the guy, but the case was dragging for years. This guy was still in prison. But you know, luckily for him, the Chinese prison decided to release him after 3 years. They said that he was well behaved, so they deported him back to Cameroon. I'm thinking that it's possible that someone had hinted them that they're looking for this guy, you know, maybe that's why they released him. I mean, because it's so unlike them to release prisoners. Anyway, I'm saying this just to plead with my African brothers and sisters who are planning on moving abroad. Please be very careful where you go. Make sure that, first of all, that they speak a language that you understand, because language barrier can cause all kinds of trouble. Several times I've heard of Africans being harassed in China. The saddest part of the story is when they take you to court, they will do everything in their language. So you may not even know what they're saying about you, and you're right there. So make sure that you go to a country where you at least understand the language. And also, please, as much as possible, stay in touch with your family members at home so that somebody will ask after you if you should ever disappear. Somebody should raise an alarm. They should have people looking for you if you ever disappear. Now, having said that, I do have a problem with all these Western stores that are using forced labor. I mean, can you believe? Haven't we talked about this long enough? Using cheap labor in China, in different parts of the world. These are my African brothers and sisters that are paying the price. Can you imagine? How many people do we know that have been in the same shoe with this guy? We only know about his story. You never know how many people have lived like that for years and died like that. But can we blame them when our own government doesn't really care about us? I was so heartbroken that the Cameroonian embassy in Beijing and Washington refused to comment or even fight for this guy. You know, they did not answer phone calls or return emails for comment. It's like, what? When will our embassies abroad realize that they are supposed to do more than issue passports and visas? And this is not peculiar to Cameroonian embassies, by the way. Nigerian embassies, they cannot be left out. Yes, you all know what I'm talking about. Our embassies are supposed to be our home away from home, but they treat us like we're nothing. You know, we're supposed to hold programs, events at the embassies, but you know, you go to the embassy, they talk to you as if you have come to beg for something. And I've talked about this in one of my episodes, so I won't go into details, but this guy probably wouldn't have spent 3 years in prison if his embassy went after him when they realized that he's missing. If they had raised an alarm, if they had tried to find him, maybe he wouldn't have spent 3 years of his life in the Chinese prison. But I'm hoping that he won't just go through this, that our embassies and our government would do more in protecting the lives of their citizens abroad. Nigerian government, Cameroonian government, all these African governments, I hope that they will do more in protecting the lives of their citizens abroad. Do we even know how many Nigerians are abroad? Do we have a record so we can be up to date in terms of their welfare and their well-being? But I'm just glad that my brother is back and now he has relocated to Dubai and he actually has a life now in Dubai. I'm very happy for him, and you know, I don't know much anyway, but guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Oh, before I leave today, I got a lot of compliments about last week's episode. A lot of people were praising Koledowo for the video at the end. And you know, as much as I appreciate it, I just would like to say that we actually did not mix that video. That was actually produced by Kate Connect and they put it on YouTube. So all kudos goes to them. You just have to know where to look to find. You get what I'm saying? And we'll end with another one this week that was produced by somebody called Omo Baba and it's also on YouTube. But thank you, Koledowo, for finding that video and for doing a great job. You know, everybody loves you. Thank you so much. You know, I do well. All right, y'all, it's been real and I'm keeping it real right up in here. Until next week, I must see y'all later. Peace out.
When women cry, then there is trouble.
Every day for